Hi, everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk. My name is Nick Cosgrove, and I'm joined today by Bobby Sculio, aka Robyn. Robyn and I are here for our ninth Q&A. It has been a few weeks since we've done our last Q&A, so there's quite a few questions, but we're going to split them up into two different episodes. So, Robyn, when you're ready, let's get to the first one.
Okay. Hi, Nick. Are all of your clients back training at the gym since gyms have reopened after COVID?
Yeah, so a lot of the gyms here in Vancouver, British Columbia, have reopened since we're in phase two of the reopening
Mhm.
of businesses here. So a lot of gyms, not all the gyms, but a lot of gyms have reopened. Tell you the truth, most of my clients didn't leave during COVID-19. I mean, we're still going through COVID-19, but at the beginning stage, we were allowed to stay open. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So we actually had most of our clients stay with us. What's happened though now is that a lot of people who did go are coming back. So a lot of our clients who did stay with us and were training with us, their gyms closed. So they were training with us even more. And now they're still training with us because they don't want to make reservations at their gym. So the problem is not
Right. Yeah.
too many hours on the floor, which is not a bad thing, but we are working quite a bit right now because of that.
Mhm.
So I think once if you don't have to make reservations at the gym, and then, maybe they'll allow more people in the gyms at a certain time, we might slow down. But right now we're actually fairly busy. So to answer your
Yeah.
question, most of our clients didn't leave, and the ones that did are all pretty much back. I think we're missing probably about maybe 5 or 6 people. That's about it right now.
hmm Yeah, no, you're very busy. Okay, next question. Hi, Nick. My right shoulder has been bothering me a lot lately. Do you recommend taking any time off from training to allow it to rest and fully heal?
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to take too much time away from the gym if you're dealing with an injury, because then
hmm
you risk having scar tissue build up. So let's say, okay, so in this case, it's your shoulder. I mean, why not stay away from any direct shoulder movements for the next 2 or 3 weeks? So yeah, you can skip a few shoulder workouts, but I mean, you can still train your back, you can still train your biceps, your triceps, you can still train your legs. So
Yeah.
taking time off for one muscle group that's injured, I wouldn't recommend doing that for too long. And in fact, I would still do some shoulder mobility work. I mean, it doesn't have to be of heavy weights, but just to keep that range of motion. I mean, even some light lateral raises, even some very light dumbbell shoulder presses can actually help. You don't want to have built up scar tissue in that area because that will just
hmm
make it worse. So I always think movement is the best answer. Obviously, if you're dealing with a dislocation or something breaks, no, you're not going to go train your shoulder. But at the same time, there's other muscle groups that you can work on. So I think you should stay in the gym, just work around the injury.
hmm Smart advice. Okay, next question. Hi, Nick. I feel as if my back muscles, sorry, are underdeveloped. Do you have any suggestions on how to build a better back?
Yeah, I've been trying to build a better back for the
Yeah.
last 10 plus years. One of the things when I first started competing, the judges always used to critique my back and say it wasn't wide enough. And so
hmm
I created 2 back days, and one was a pull down day and one was a row day. So the pull down day was to create width in the back, and the row day was to create thickness in the back. It probably worked. It helped a bit. I prioritized that muscle. I trained it a little bit more. But tell you the truth, I've gone back in the last year just doing to one. We just do one back workout a week.
Yeah.
And I find, going back to good old fashioned, like heavy free
Yeah.
weights, T-bar rows, bent over barbell rows, one arm dumbbell rows. And I've noticed actually in the last few months, my back has actually gotten bigger again. So I think, I kind of stepped away from all the machines and just focused on cables and free weights. So, lat pull down, close grip lat pull down, that type of stuff.
Yes.
I really attribute a lot of the back development to free weights.
Yeah. I think that's it too. I think there was definitely time in there that I know we would have back days, and I told you on several occasions that you're being excessive
Yeah.
was the word that I was using,
Yeah.
and absolutely, I think the development, not just in this, but I think a lot with just the free weight, and like when you get really back just to the iron
Yeah.
opposed to the rest, you do have a heavier connection. Doesn't mean like there's a lot of machines that I really enjoy, but I think when you really need to build, like when you're truly looking to build and muscle mind connect, go back to the drawing board, go back to original, and yeah.
Yeah, and when you're doing free weights too, you're using your stabilizers. I I even stepped away for a bit, and I was doing a lot of machines, hammer strength and stuff like that. And I didn't feel the same after work. I didn't feel like I pushed
Mhm.
myself. when I'm at my gym, I mean, during COVID-19, I've been doing all my workouts at my gym. And, Robyn, you've been doing them with me. So,
Mm-hmm.
that the free weight movements, I'm gassed at the end of a back day. And I'm
Yeah.
telling you, you do some bent over T-bar rows, you throw some drop sets in there, bent over barbell rows, you're going to be gassed. And I mean,
Yeah.
in and out, but it works. So I think free weights, compound free weights are the best way to build a better back.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Okay, number 5, and this is actually a very good question, I think, because it's something that a lot of people deal with, including, I mean, everybody deals with, uh, just different forms. Hi, Nick. I'm a student and I can't afford to eat salmon, chicken breasts, and cod every day. Do you have any recommendations for anyone who wants to build their physique while living on a budget?
I'm laughing because that was me a few years ago too. And I mean, you don't have to eat.
Yeah.
It's nice that you can, if you can afford to eat salmon every day. Salmon is expensive. Cod is expensive.
Yeah.
It's nice if you have the budget to afford that, but a lot of people don't. So what I used to do, especially when I first started out, I used to go with like cans of tuna.
Yeah.
Rice is cheap. Uh,
Tilapia is
yeah,
a less
tilapia.
expensive.
It's a less
Yeah.
expensive fish. Um, Chicken breasts aren't that expensive. I mean, you don't have to go crazy high on expensive. I mean, here and
No.
there, but I use cheap proteins.
Eggs
Eggs are another good
whites.
one. Yeah, egg whites are pretty cheap too. I
Yeah.
mean, there's ways around it. You can get a good whey isolate for a good price too.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't necessarily have to eat like, organic chicken or, the finest, like, salmon out there. There are ways to get fit on a budget. And I work with a lot of people who are on a budget and, they say, okay, well, this is my budget. This is what I can afford. And we make it work.
Yeah.
There's tons of food options out there. Don't let someone tell you that you need to have the most expensive. You need to go to Whole Foods or something and get the best quality meat out there. I mean, there's good quality products out there. And
I
just
think,
let me just add one more thing.
yeah.
I remember my first show I ever did, my first bodybuilding show. I was eating, and I'm not suggesting anyone do this, but I was about doing, I think at that time was about 6 cans of tuna a day. I was on a budget. I was young. I think I was like 18 years old. So I had no money. And it worked. It worked. It worked great. What were you going to say?
I think as far as when you're talking about organic and the way that the meats and so on are done, farmed or fresh or any of that sort of stuff, I mean, there's a level of personal choice and there's also a level of, so it depends on where you're living too. One thing that you might compound with is I knew when I was in the States, like I was off and on vegan, vegetarian throughout my whole life. But when I was living in the States, I went heavy vegan, more because like I remember once looking at the meat there and I'm just like being like, hey, that's not right. Like there's something weird going on with whatever, like that isn't coming from a normal animal. So like, I think when you're saying like, you don't have to get organic or you don't have to get that, I think that that's all within your realm of personal choice and what you feel is best going into your body for sure. I think definitely look, because I do feel like the quality of meat will makes a difference for your over, like Nick and I come from, like for size, yes, it doesn't have to be that, but for personal choice, for sure. And also ethically, like how is it raised? Like, are you going from a chicken farm that is like questionable and like sometimes that is the meat that is sold at Walmart and things like that? Or are you going from something that is slightly more ethical and healthier chickens, healthier whatever, and then in turn what's healthy going into your body? And all that is something to look at as far as overall health and again personal choice. So like I agree that not everything has to be organic and the labels can all be very, very misleading. But there is great choices out there as alternatives to chicken breast, to whatever. And yeah, like a canned tuna is a great way to go, and there's good choices within that too that are not that like not kind of like hormone induced ones. I think though, even when you're looking to get size, to get whatever, definitely to when you see a piece of meat that is questionable, like a drumstick that is this big, I think you have to question that, and because those will also lead to weird hormone levels within yourself too.
Yeah, and I want to just add to that too, is that I'm not against organic food. I
No,
just
I know.
know
Yeah,
that
it's more
when
expensive.
it's very expensive. And, you know, when you're working on a budget, it's very hard for someone to go into Whole Foods and buy a meal. I mean, that meal can easily
It's
go for 20
ridiculously
bucks.
priced. Yeah.
So what I usually tell, and first of all, in Canada, just let's get this clear, that
Yeah.
none of our chicken actually has hormones in it. There's no added hormones in our
No.
chicken.
No.
We're not suggesting you go buy your chicken at Walmart. I buy my chicken at Costco. I use Lilydale brand. Lilydale's an excellent brand. It's very cost effective. So that was another thing I wanted to add is if you are
It is a more ethical company.
if you are working on a budget, you know, shop at places like Costco. Okay, you can buy in bulk, you can freeze, you get way more for bang for your buck. And like I said, protein sources, Robyn mentioned, you know, you can get egg whites. Egg whites are cheap. Tuna is cheap.
Yeah.
Your fats, peanut butter is very cheap. Eggs, that's cheap. So you don't have to eat the best quality of everything. Okay. Don't get caught up in every single little detail.
Tilapia. Really cheap. Excuse me. I Sorry. Really inexpensive whitefish, tilapia, different things. There's and canned products are great. I think I've heard of people quite often going for thighs and so on, or like ground beef and so on instead of ground turkey. That's when you start to mess up your plans a little bit, because then you've got a higher fat content.
Yes. Which,
whatever, but if you're looking at putting on lean muscle, I mean, and honestly, like, and I'm not promoting one diet type over the other, but lentils, cheap.
Yeah, very
super cheap. Yeah.
Yeah. And my staple that I've been using for years, oatmeal. Oatmeal is really cheap. So you can definitely, and like I mentioned before, whey isolate protein powder, you can get a great one at Costco. It's 50 bucks, and that'll last you easily a month. So there's a way to get fit on a budget.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, next question. Hi, Nick. Can you please explain the drop set?
I think we already covered this on one Q&A. Yeah. So I actually, we did one on my story the other day with a T-bar row. So essentially, let's use a squat, for example. Let's say I put 315 on the bar. This is my last set. So usually I recommend drop sets as your final set of an exercise. So I got 315 on the squat rack. That's 345s aside. So I'm going to do 10 reps, nice and deep squats. That's my goal. I get 10 reps on that first set. Immediately I leave my squat rack. I clear a plate off each side. Now I got 2 plates on each side. I right away go back in that squat rack. I knock out another 10 reps. And then once I'm done those 10 reps, one more time, this is a triple drop set. I'll take another plate off and I'm left with 1 plate aside, and I'll aim for 10 more reps again. My training and what I do with my clients, I usually try to get everyone to stay within double digits. But when I throw in a drop set or a triple drop set or a quadruple drop set, I get people doing tons of reps. So it's just like dropping set after set after set, but dropping the weight after each set. I do only recommend doing your drop sets at the end of each exercise though. Don't do a drop set on your first set of an exercise. So do it when you're nice and warmed up, and just do it as the last one. Drop sets are great if you're trying to get a good burn in the workout, or, you know, if you're just trying to burn a few extra calories too, they'll really get your heart rate up. We do drop sets all the time. I actually do drop sets on pretty much all my exercises.
It really does. Yeah. It really does.
So that's drop set.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, Nick. What is the best way to make my butt grow? I feel the older I get, the saggier it becomes.
Like, I know it's cliche to say this, but it's squats. I don't understand why people make this, they overcomplicate this. I think a lot of people just don't like squatting. You have to squat. And I don't mean Smith machine squats. I mean squat with a real bar, with real weights, squat down and back up again. Your stance, I mean, you can change up your stance. I use different stances with my clients. I get them to do narrow stance squats. I get them to do V stance squats. I get them to go sumo stance squats. So that I vary, and I'll incorporate them all into a leg workout with them. I'm also a firm believer, and I know you are too, with doing lunges. I find lunges actually do work the glutes really well. And there are so many different variations of lunges. I do them all the time with my clients. We do alternating, we do drag lunges, we do double contraction lunges, we do stationary lunges, depression lunges, elevation lunges. So it's not that there's one particular exercise that's the best, it's the movement. So, you know, I can list off 6 different squats that you could do. And same with the lunges, step ups, those type of things. I like hip thrusts as well. Those are a great exercise. I do use them with clients as well. Yeah. But I'm not a big fan of doing, you know, leg abductor machines or all this fancy work. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but I use that for more as like, don't paint your house before you build it. Build the foundation first. Those exercises are great to add once you've developed the glute or butt that you like. Then maybe do the little bit of the hip abductor machines or that. But when I see beginners in the gym using those machines, I'm like, you're wasting your time. They're not going to do it.
Yeah, I think it's like the way that you answered the back girl question.
Yeah.
When you get back to the foundation exercises, I particularly, there's we do a lot of things. I think I know, like obviously squats and so on. I know that I've been adding in a few more extra hip thrust ones, particularly because I do find that such a target for directly the butt.
And
Yeah.
she's been doing them at my gym with a barbell. So she hasn't been doing that on a machine. Okay.
No,
and
it's all machine.
I think some
people, I mean, it's all barbell, all iron. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think some people are a little bit hesitant, especially if they're new to the gym and they don't know how to use free weights. And for those people, it's just strongly advise you invest your money in a trainer. It doesn't have to be for life. It can just be for like maybe 12 sessions. And you'll learn so much. And tell the trainer, hey, look, I really want to learn how to squat. I really want to learn how to deadlift. Whatever it is you want to learn how to do. And make sure the trainer that you've hired is experienced, and if they come through referral, even better. I think that goes a long way. I think that's a great investment, especially if you're new to the gym. Don't waste time on machines. Unless you're maybe rehabbing an injury, get right to the free weights. You're going to see way more bang for your buck.
Yeah. Smart. Okay, next one. Hey Nick, I followed the keto diet for a few years and lost over 50 pounds. I'm thinking of going back on it as I've put on close to 30 pounds in the past few months. I know you don't recommend the keto diet and wanted to know why you don't think it's a good diet to follow.
I don't recommend the keto diet because it's not a sustainable diet. That's not to say that I don't actually use that diet with clients sometimes. If I'm getting someone ready for a show and we had them on like very, very minimal amount of carbs, at that point, I'm like, you know what, we might as well just take out the carbs and put you on keto. You'll feel better. And at that point, someone's in true ketosis, their brain usually feels better. They have more energy because nobody likes to be on a low carb diet. So once we go to low carbs, I automatically just say, you know what, let's just go to no carbs, and I up the fats. But as far as if it take away from contest prep, I'm not a big fan of using keto. I find that ketosis, it's just anyone who I know who loses weight on keto, myself included. I once did a keto diet for a show. They put the weight back on once they come off that diet. And some people say, well, I can stay on keto for life. I've yet to see anyone stay on a keto diet for life. It's very difficult to stay no carbs for life. I mean, you're going to have social events. You're going to want to go out. You're going to want to, see family, and the carbs are going to come up. So as soon as you come off that keto diet, your body has become so sensitive to carbohydrates, and all that weight that you lost comes back. I think this person said that they put the weight back on. I'm curious to know how they put that weight back on. Did they switch back over to carbs again? Maybe their body is too sensitive to carbohydrates. So the nutritional plans I use with people, I usually use a high carb, moderate fat diet, even for weight loss. And then I start to rotate the macros around each week. Some weeks we'll go high fat, low carb, but we don't do it forever. We do it for a week on, a week off. And 1 week I'll go no fats, high carbs. And don't forget, you can add in your protein as well. So I'm not a big fan of the ketosis diet. I know a lot of people swear by it, but I've never seen anyone keep the results that they've got.
It's just not a sustainable thing.
No.
Any
diet will work. Really, any diet will work.
Yeah, that's exactly diet. Yeah.
If you can't keep that diet going and it's not realistic to follow that, never mind for a year, try 5 years.
Yeah.
It's not realistic. It's not going to work. That's why I don't like using the word diet. I like using the word nutritional plan. Okay. Make it a lifestyle.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. Nick, which burns more fat, weight training or cardio?
Yeah. Weight training, 100% weight training. So it's interesting because a lot of people just assume that if they need to lose weight, they should do cardio. And I always tell my clients, yeah, cardio is great. Cardio is really good for your heart, but weight training burns way more calories. And here's the thing is maybe you're not burning as many calories when you're doing a workout in the gym with weights as opposed to running on a treadmill for 45 minutes. It's what happens after that workout though. Your metabolism is going the whole day. So, if I do an hour workout in the gym with Robyn, I'm hungry. My metabolism is going all day long, and I know I'm burning more calories in a rested state. So when I'm back home working on the computer, designing programs and stuff, my body's burning more calories in a rested state because of that workout. The more muscle you have, the more calories your body will burn in a rested state. That's why I always laugh at these cardio kings and queens, and it's just like you're just chasing your tail around and around because your body relies on cardio to burn fat then. So build the muscle and you're going to burn more calories in a rested state. So if I were to choose, if I said I only had one choice between cardio or weight training to burn fat, I would choose weight training. That's not
Yeah.
to say don't do cardio though. Cardio is important. But if you're
Yeah.
looking to burn fat, definitely do weight training.
No, that's something you say all the time. Next one. Hi, Nick. Which dieting approach do you think works better? Low carbs, high fat, or low fat, high carbs? Kind of, yeah.
Just similar to one of the other
Yeah.
questions. Okay, so that's actual case dependent, because I do work with people who just, their bodies respond really, really well
Yeah.
to higher fat, low carb diets. Again, I don't go too low on carbs, but I've noticed with some people, especially women, I find when I work with a lot of women, their bodies tend to respond really well to a lower carb, higher fat diet.
Yeah.
But when I work with guys, though, it's usually the opposite. A lot of the guys I work with, I put them on very low fat diets and I put them on high carbs, and their bodies respond like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to assess the client you're working with. Ask questions about that person too. If it's the first time working with someone, I always tell them, the first time clients, I'm learning your body. I have to find out if this person is an ectomorph, an endomorph, they have a fast metabolism, a slow metabolism. Once you find all those things out, though, it's very easy to plug in and say, okay, this person responds really well to this plan. So it's not that I think one diet is better than the other. I think they both can work. It just depends on the individual. So if you're not sure, I would try both. I know for myself personally, when I'm getting ready for a show or something, you can ask Robyn. I can keep my carbs pretty high to get lean, but I usually just drop my fats, and that works well for me. But I know a lot of people, I have to get ready for a show or just anything event, and I have to go really low on the carbs. And that's what I was talking about earlier, is sometimes those people, instead of just going low carbs, I'll just go no carbs. It's just easier and increase their fats completely.
Yep. Okay. Next question. Hi, Nick. What type of meatballs were those in your Instagram story the other day?
Robyn made them, so she can take that one.
That is turkey, however, ground turkey, fat out. That is, I cut it with vegetables, so like, I want to say it's half and half. Turkey mixed with mushroom, onion, garlic, celery, zucchini, herbs, spices, and things like that. Like there's a little tomato paste in there. There's a little, like, some basic herbs and spices. And a tad, very, very small bit of oatmeal as a binder.
Did you use the oatmeal to keep the balls together?
Yeah, it's part of the binding process. A lot of people use eggs, like a proper old school mama Italian meat. I make lentil balls for myself sometimes that I like, but it's, sometimes you need some sort of binder or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just part of the process. But like old school meatballs were like a 60-40 cut. Like there's usually pork and but meat, like breadcrumbs, egg, milk, and everything like that. But these, I find, so one thing that people always don't like with turkey and getting the fat out and things like that is the cut down, is the moistness. So to replace that, things like the vegetables add a little bit of a water consistency, and I just brown them in a pan, like literally, like just like it could be a dry pan. Maybe a little bit of Briggs on the bottom, like a very, like something like that, but a little bit of water just so it doesn't stick sometimes, like really doesn't need any oil, and just do a brown.
Yeah.
And then I finish them off in the oven in a water bath. So there's just a little bit of water so it continues to cook and steam. So you get the brownness up from the pan that people like, and then like sort of the searness, and then the water bath in the pan keeps them nice and steamed. And that keeps them moist.
Use Bragg's soy sauce?
So Bragg's liquid soy.
Okay,
liquid soy replacement.
Yeah.
It's not actually a soy,
She made those actually for my dad. I came over yesterday for Father's Day, and she made them. And I mean, my dad loves red meat, right? So I don't even know if he knew they were turkey. But I mean, I don't eat red meat.
Well, they're 50-50 turkey to vegetable.
Yeah. But a lot of people, I mean, I had 2 people message me, and they thought they were actual red meatballs. They were asking, what's the recipe? I said, no, they're turkey. So, we don't eat
there
red
was
meat.
some tomato paste in there, that was putting the color off. But it is, it was just,
they were excellent.
Parsley.
I think I had at least 10. They were fantastic. They're so good.
It was another wild, crazy night here. Okay, next question. Hey Nick, can you recommend a good exercise for my triceps? Mine seem to be getting more flabby with age.
I could recommend 100 good exercises this, yeah. For. Did you say my mom asked that?
No, your mom asked this the other day.
Oh, did she? Yeah. I could recommend 100 of those tricep exercises. I mean, you could do dumbbell kickbacks, you could do dips, you could do straight bar press downs, rope extensions, V-bar press downs. You can do tons of tricep work. You have to remember though, your triceps have 3 heads. So in a good workout, my opinion is you want to activate all 3 of those heads. There's different movements you can do, but I'd also be looking, if you find that your arms are getting flabby, you're going to need to do more work than just your triceps. You can't just isolate the triceps in that. I would recommend getting into the gym and doing some heavy chest presses, some shoulder presses as well. Because don't forget, when you're doing a shoulder press or a chest press, you're going to use your triceps indirectly. They're your synergist muscle groups. So you're going to want to do a lot of pressing movements. But again, you're going to also want to do a lot of pulling movements because you don't want to overcompensate and get, you don't want your body to be overdeveloped, or you don't want to have a certain muscle group that's overdeveloped over another one. Okay.
Yeah.
So I recommend for triceps. Sorry?
So my hair's bugging me. Sorry.
No. You don't want to have any muscular imbalances is what I'm saying. So I wouldn't say, oh, my triceps are flabby, so I'm going to do just triceps. I'm going to go to the gym and work triceps every day. That's ridiculous. Still work your triceps, maybe work them twice a week, throw in like 3 exercises on one workout, 3 exercises on another workout, but don't neglect your heavy presses and also your pulls. Okay. Your pulls is very important because you don't want to have any muscular imbalances. Okay. So again, triceps, I understand a lot of women, they complain of the flabby bingo arms as they get older. So what I tend to do with a lot of my women that I train who are in their 40s and their 50s is, and not that that's old, I'm just saying that's usually an age where I get a lot of women saying, hey, my arms, I need to tighten them up. I'll give them a lot of supersets. So I'll superset tricep with biceps. Sure. And I find that works really well. If you want to get your arms hard, supersets are the way to go.
Yeah. Great. Okay, next question. Hi, Nick. I hate brown rice. Is it really that bad if I just have white rice instead?
So I think I mentioned this on another episode a few weeks ago. When COVID-19 first happened, I went to Costco and I picked us up white rice because that's all that was available. There was no brown rice left. I never really eat white rice. From a health standpoint, I don't find white rice to be nearly as beneficial as brown rice. And now I know if you look at it from a macro scale, actually white rice is lower in carbs than brown rice. But I always tell my clients, look, brown rice has more fiber. It actually keeps you feeling fuller for longer periods of time. Yeah. I find when I myself have white rice, because I've been having a lot of it because we bought so much of it during COVID, and I want to finish it. I don't want to waste it.
You spike, yeah.
I spike, exactly. And my energy levels, they go like this, crush. Yeah. And I find myself, I'm hungry again, like within half an hour. So I usually don't recommend white rice. I work with a lot of Asian people though too, and they look at me like, there's no way I'm doing brown rice. And I get that. But usually what I'll recommend then, I'll say, well, why don't you try some quinoa? Or maybe a mixture, just do half white rice, half brown rice, because I'm looking to get the fiber content in. And white rice doesn't really offer a lot of fiber. So I know a lot of bodybuilders even, they'll only do white rice. I'm personally not a fan of white rice. I'm not saying that you have to do brown rice, but if you're asking me which one is more healthy for you, I'll always say brown rice.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a huge difference, but when you are eating in the mass quantities you're talking about for bodybuilding or for different things, it is actually the small differences, but when it's that mass, all those small differences add up a lot faster. Yeah.
It does.
Okay. Hi, Nick. I'm only allowed to reserve 45 minutes at my gym to train due to COVID. I've barely enough time to get my workout. Do you think that you can get a decent workout in 45 minutes?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, most of our workouts are like 40 minutes long max. Most of my clients book sessions with me for 60 minutes, but I always tell people what we get done in like 40 minutes is what most people get done in like 2-hour workouts. Or in the gym, you're spending way too much time in the gym. I mean, what are you doing? 45 minutes is more than enough to get a good workout in.
Sure,
I had one of my clients, and she was telling me, because she's back at Gold's Gym, and she was saying, oh, we're only allowed to work out for, I think, 70 minutes. And she says, I really have to rush through my workout if I want to get my weights and my cardio in. See, 70 minutes is more than enough time to get that in. I mean, what are you doing? if you're training hard and intense and not taking selfies or cruising through Instagram, 45 minutes should be more than enough. You know, if you can push it to 60, great. But yeah, I think you can get a great workout in 45 minutes. It might even be better that some of these gyms are forcing people to make reservations, because then you're short on time. You got to get in and out. That's the way my clients train. They're short on time. They got an hour with me. That's it. They're in, they're out. And that's what we do, is train. We don't talk about our days or feelings, none of that nonsense. It's you're in, you train, you get out. No, that's the way it is. So yeah, I think 45 minutes is more than enough time. Decrease your rest periods, stay off your phone, and just focus on your workout.
Yeah. I have no expertise in this, but I know for me, like, just stay away from distraction.
Yeah. Don't get caught up in conversations with people. Keep the headphones on. Just give a wave to someone you know. Don't, no gym talk. If someone wants to talk, go for coffee. Social distance coffee date.
Okay, next question. Hi, Robyn. Can you explain the abdominal exercises you are doing in Nick's Instagram story to target your abs? The hanging leg raises?
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
Okay. So hanging leg raises. So they are, Nick, this is more your area, but this is to my understanding. So there's many different variations of this that you can do for whatever level you can experience. Basically, like, you start off in a stabilizing, you're already in a stabilizing position. I guess that would be the best way to say it. Your lower body weight acts as your resistance.
Yeah.
It is in doing this, you lift via your hips so you are immediately working your hip flexors, your direct abdominals, and then it somewhat attacks your obliques as well. Yeah. And I know for me, I've been up from the hip flexors, and you can even do a little bit ass forward, and that would add some crunch. Yep. But I just bend forward and go up, and so it's hip flexor. Yeah, that's the best way to explain. And the legs automatically create a resistance via your lower body weight. So you can do them on the floor if need be, or anything in between. It is, I think, when you watch and see, it looks like it's something, like, because someone's hanging. I know for me, I used to look at things like that and be like, oh, but just because of the position someone's in. I use the grabbers. I have very weak hands, weak wrists, just the way that I'm made. Yeah. I couldn't sustain myself for that long period of a time without the grabbers because of, there he goes, because I have arthritis, because I couldn't, but that enables me to go in it and directly focus on my abs. And it's just sort of an all-in-one exercise, in my opinion. You can target a lot of the areas within doing it. Primarily your abdominal, but it does attack your oblique and hip flexors as well.
Yeah, and I just want to add to that. So the exercise is called hanging leg raises. Yeah. And there are two ways. There actually are a few ways, like Robyn said, to do them. Yeah, the way that she was doing them in my Instagram story is more of an advanced movement. So I don't recommend someone just do that from day one. There's beginner movements. I put those on my Instagram as well. I have some clients do those. Some people I don't have do those because, if they don't have grabbers or their grip's not very good, they're going to feel it more in their upper body, just hanging like that. You're going to start like you would if you were to start a chin up. You're just going to be hanging low and just let your legs come up. A lot of people I find who don't have the abdominal strength to do that just yet, because then they start swinging using momentum. If you watch that video, she's not using any momentum at all. She's in controlled form. So you have to build your strength up to that. That's not a beginner movement by any means. But once you've been training for a long time, and like Robyn said, it's a good idea to maybe start them on the floor and doing leg raises on the floor. Once you've developed that core stability, and you also have increased that strength in your rectus abdominals and your transverse abdominals, hanging leg raises are an excellent exercise for your core.
Yeah. Okay, last and final question. Hi, Nick. What is the lowest amount of energy you have experienced training for a competition?
Oh, God, I think it was
low.
I want to say it was I'm going to say it was 2010. I remember I was on the floor and I was training a client, and for no reason at all, I don't even know why, I actually started to cry. And I was thinking at that point, I was maybe like 3 days out from a show, and my carbs were at 0, my fats were at 0, and all I was eating was protein. I don't recommend anyone do this diet. I'm just saying, no, this was to get to like incredibly lean body fat. I think my body fat was around 3%. It's so low that my body fat, it actually hurt when I walked on my feet. That's how low my body fat was.
Yeah.
And I remember I excused myself. I went to the washroom and I just had to sit there. And I've never actually left a session. I had to leave that session, and I just realized like I've done something wrong with my diet. I really screwed up my diet. And at the time, I'm not going to blame this person, but I was working with a very old school coach. And now I've learned over the years since that time, I didn't need to go to such extreme measures to get that lean. When it started to affect my business, then I realized this is not good. So that was the lowest point I ever was. And it was just because I was so tired. And I remember all I wanted was something to eat. And I cheated. I went and I'm just like, I'm going to eat. And I had like a cup of rice and I felt so much better. But for no reason, I just started crying, and nothing happened. And I had to cancel the session midway through. So it was just my energy levels. I couldn't even, and I sat on that bench for a good 45 minutes. I just couldn't get up. I couldn't muster the energy. There's been other times too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And if like for me to even hear you admit to this, because Nick and I go back and forth because we'll watch a movie or something and I'll be like just crying, just like, one of the like Steel Magnolias are just the biggest criers that you can think of and just bawling. He's like, it's a movie. What are you talking about? There's very few and far between that I've actually seen Nick really, really be emotional and cry, like actually let tears flow out of his eyes. For reasonable circumstances, and for him to admit that there was actually something like, and I would say that it's so hormonally got to you and just pure exhaustion that it would have to be at that point, and especially for it to the point where you would walk away from a client. Because I think the only time that I've ever heard you cancel something is when you were actually had to be hospitalized.
Yes.
But like due to illness. So that would be, I mean, a very, very serious point to get to for you, I know.
And this reminds me too of something too, for a lot of people who are working with trainers. If you're on a diet plan and you're feeling like that, like you're feeling like you're breaking down, or you're feeling like you're so moody, or you're irritable, or you can't sleep, I mean, you're on a bad diet. And again, I'm not passing blame on that person I was working with, because I chose to work with that person. But that old school train of thought of, it's hardcore, it's no pain, no gain, that stuff is bullshit. You're going to have a little bit of pain and sacrifice if you're trying to get into, especially a bodybuilding show or a bikini show, whatever it is, photo shoot, whatever you're training for. But it doesn't have to be to the point where like you feel like you're going to die. I mean, you got to, at the end of the day, what is it, a $5 trophy? Who cares? So even with the clients I work with now, I say, if you start to feel on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being excellent, 1 feeling like crap, if anything starts to drop below 5, you have to contact me right away. We got to fix something. Because that's actually, that's a reflection on me. I've done something wrong with their diet. Maybe I'm feeding them too little calories. Maybe I need to up their fats. So that's why it's important to hire a good coach that can actually guide you through that process and say, yeah, look, this is not going to be easy, but it shouldn't be like you feel like you're going to die every day because you're passing out on the treadmill or the elliptical. So you gotta be smart with your diet. Okay, that's important.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. Over and done.
Okay, Robyn, thank you so much for doing this. This should be going up on Monday evening, this episode. So something to look forward to. And thank you everyone for watching tonight. Robyn, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay.
Bye, Sunshine.
Everyone. Thank you.
3 seconds.
Bye.